through our veins. Sitting in the bleachers in the rain. We've shed a million tears and drank as many old-style beers out at the game. Let's go, Cubbies, on Ranto.
Michael Cotton.
Son Ranto.
Michael Cotton.
Son Ranto and the lovable Lucy.
Lucho Scali.
Son Ranto.
Michael.
Son Ranto.
Cotton.
Son Ranto and the lovable Lucy.
Michael Cotton.
Son Ranto.
Lucho Scali.
Wow, that's a lot of energy to after losing 2 or 3 to the Mariners there, Michael. Oh man, you're fired up
in a little while.
All right, okay, that's fair. You're just you got energy saved up, and well, that was Michael Cotton, and Eli's here.
Yep. Hello.
The brood of Michael Cotton. Is that right? Brood. Well, I mean, technically, you'd have to be an insect at that point, I think, right?
I mean, I guess it's correct, but only you have ever used that term in reference to my children. So
I don't know where it came from. I don't think I've ever been called anybody a brood before. Like it just came to me like that. But Eli, welcome to the Son Ranto show. You're wearing your Oklahoma Cade Horton jersey, and right before we went live, you said, "Well, he's the only one that pitched good the entire week," and I'm like, "That's pretty much true." So, so welcome. How's everybody doing tonight? We got the Cardinals, the first time of the year.
it's weird, right?
We should have already played them by now. This is ridiculous.
Really is. So you're feeling okay? I mean, you know, you guys look.
I'm still half
Monday.
sick.
It's Monday. You've been sick. Did you
And
get
it's
what you're?
hot.
It's hot. I know it is miserable. I'm in the basement. It's usually pretty cold out here. Like I'm wearing a hoodie, even like when it's 80 outside, but not anymore. Now I'm just like in the basement, starving, dying. Basically, I can't even think. I can't think. I was on my work call earlier today, and I was just struggling. You know those moments where you're struggling to think of words and nothing's coming to you, and you're just like, oh my God, I think I just have to just lay on the floor and die.
We've been doing this show for a decade. I've been on the show for at least a decade, and everyone knows that happens to me quite often.
We're just waiting for rain. We're hoping there's rain tonight just to get some reprieve.
I know. Well, I think we're supposed to get some here in Chicago, but I looked at where the Cubs are right now in St. Louis, and it's 97, 97, 97, and 97 every single day. And they got a day game on Thursday. So
The crazy thing is that the first 2 games technically would have been hotter if they were in Chicago than even being in St. Louis.
about the same anyway. But St. Louis got that humidity, and plus it smells like poo everywhere. So you got that. I mean, just
that's why they have those jerseys. Mm-hmm. The Lou.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So this is the Son Ranto show on the Bleacher Bunch Productions on the Fans First Network. We got other shows. They're called Cup of Cubby Blue, Baseball Rabbit Hole, Cubs PS Plus, Bricks Behind the Ivy. And Michael, you got a new Baseball Rabbit Hole out now. So that's cool. I haven't had a chance to listen.
Yeah, it went out on for the Patreon people already, and then it will pop up in the regular feed next week.
What's
but
it
yeah,
about?
It's about the World Series. I wanted to know why it was called the World Series, so I went down the rabbit hole and I found out about like pre-MLB championships, the Cup era. Which
I've seen those cups. It looks.
Yeah,
I
didn't even know there was a Cup era.
I've seen some of the cups. I've seen the Cubs have some cups, and it looks like a chamber pot. Speaking of the Lou, it really does. It looks like something you just like keep by the bed just in case.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a fun little rabbit hole to get down, and it's like some of these little simple questions you think are just gonna like, I don't know. You don't really think there's a story there, and then you start looking into it, and you're like, oh no, there's a lot of stuff to learn here.
And of course, we are brought to you by our Patreon supporters who have already ostensibly heard your podcast because they got it early. And they also listen to Cubs Pod, which features Mr. Eli Cotton, who's here this evening, gracing us with his brutish presence. It's the Brood Show, starring the Brood. No, but of course,
I feel like the Brood was like a comic book villain crew.
Wasn't it a horror teenage show, like a vampire-y
I feel
kind
like
of thing?
You describe them for like insects, but I feel like they also use them for like insects or dragons and nowhere in between. Like I'm pretty sure that's the only two.
I mean, isn't a dragon kind of part insect? You got to figure at least a little bit of it.
Yeah,
A little bit of everything. Yeah.
I mean, they're just as real as insects, right?
Well, they're just as real as birds because birds are fake. They are drones. Everybody knows that.
Yeah,
I've been to the website.
Yeah, I mean, heck, everyone said you'd see Cardinals all spring, but we haven't seen them in summer already. So
Well, my cat did bring home a baby bird who I mistook for dead on my porch, and I was like, "Oh, look, it's dead." And I went to sweep it up, and it came to life. It was like, and ran away, and it just flew away. And I was like, "Well, that's nice that it's alive. I don't know how it survived and stuff, but scared the crap out of me, dude."
Yeah.
I just expected it to be just a dead bird that you're sweeping up, and it was not dead. Either that or I have the power to return dead things to life. I'm not sure. Maybe we should try it
you
in the
wasted
cemetery.
your one resurrection on that bird.
Accidentally, like when you get the 3 wishes from the genie and you don't wish for more wishes like an idiot. It happens to me every time. Anyway, we are brought to you by our Patreon supporters, which if I had 3 wishes, I'd wish that you became a Patreon supporter at patreon.com/bleacherbunch. You're the super ranters that keep us alive. And there's a bunch. There's well over 100 of you guys. I forget the number right now. I didn't look recently, but it was like 103, 104 last time. So thank you very much. But especially Blake Beard and Rogue Wave Creative. I saw Blake this weekend. There we are. Hanging out with Steve Scher and K-Fids right there on Ball Hawk / Mom Shrine Corner. And boy, did we have a time. Lot of like real great people were around this weekend and hanging out, including I met the famous Clint from California, one of the only ranters to ever come out and be on the bitch clock live.
Oh, nice.
That's Clint right there in the middle. So, and that's his friend. I forget his name, but a really interesting guy. He's a teacher, and
I believe his friend
obviously
is Razor Ramon. For all the old school wrestling fans out there, that's Razor Ramon.
Okay. Well, apparently I was hanging out with a famous wrestler, and I didn't even know it. So, so I'm awesome, and of course, I just want to shout out all the Patreon people. Clint, he's a Patreon person. I don't think K-Fids is, so I'm going to crop him out of this picture. But there's Steve Scher from Arizona. We got to see him. Crawley was hanging out during the week. Like, there's just a lot of people were hanging out at Mom Shrine Ball Hawk, and it was just great to see everybody. It really made me feel part of the Cubs community this week more than other times when it's just not quite as like the out-of-towners coming through. It was really cool to see everybody.
Right.
So, and people at the Bleacher Bum Band show, which I have to thank everybody for coming to that because it was a packed house. And
yeah, that was last Saturday, right?
Yeah,
or
on Saturday, a couple days
yesterday.
Ago, yeah. So, it was so hot, and we played a loud, hard, sweaty set. And I must admit, for a 51-year-old old punk, I paced myself to the point, but I was still able to like do the thing, like play hard and fast and go. So, and I outlasted Bleacher Jeff because he was complaining at the end. He was like, "Could we please choose a different set list?" And I was like, "Or you could just be in shape." I don't know.
Why would this? Why does the set list make a difference? Or he's just saying too many songs?
No, that's what I said. I'm like, all our songs are hard and fast. Like, we just would have chosen different ones. Like, we played almost every slow one we had. Like, he just
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Couldn't keep up.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. So,
well, after a day in the bleachers, it's not really all that out of the ordinary that Bleacher Jeff isn't quite keeping up. He's just sometimes in a better mood about it.
Well, I'll say this much: it was hard to play because your hands, when you get all sweaty, then you get all sticky, and you
I'm
can't
doing it right
really,
now.
Yeah, you can't move. It's like you're Reese McGuire in the cab of your truck.
just
sticky
wetness
hands
everywhere,
Yeah.
all over your hands, your arms. Yeah.
Yeah, the cop is spraying you with pepper spray. It just gets worse and worse. But anyway, we had a great time out there at Old Sticky Hands show. But yeah, it made me appreciate because it was hard to play rock and roll for an hour, and you're watching these baseball players out there all weekend long in the freaking steamy hot sun.
Well, and that was right after the umpire went down with the heat injury, and what was the pitcher's name?
I don't remember his name. He was like Thornton or something. But yeah, he pitched
For
like
the
50
Mariners.
pitches out there and then collapsed.
Yeah, that was crazy. They kept sending him out there. He was up to, I think, 51 pitches when he finally was like, I can't do this, and then almost passed out. And he had like long sleeves on because I was listening to the Mariners broadcast, and they said he doesn't like to use sunscreen. Doesn't like having sunscreen on his arms, which is why he was wearing that long sleeve like sun shirt. And for whatever reason, I get it. In Seattle, they don't get days like that very often. So maybe he just wasn't aware that he was about to go down.
Well,
I mean,
if he
also
wants to
really-
look like the dorky kid at the water park, that's up to him.
And also, it's like you don't need to go out there for 3 innings at that point. Like, I feel
Well-
like that should have been something where he and the manager should have talked to him and like, all right, I'm already at like 30-something pitches, 30 or 40 pitches. I'm good. It's hot out. Like, give me a break here.
Well, it's hot for everybody, but I wonder if it's hot for this guy I want to bring out right now.
Yeah,
and
because
that's
before the Mariners showed up, we played a set against
the Brew
the
Crew.
Brewers.
What's up, Wheelo? How's it going? Where the hell are you? I heard you. Are you on a ferry right now? Hey, it's people formerly known as John Crateau, but now known as Johnny Onomatopoeia.
How are ya? Yeah, we're here in New York, about to get on a ferry, have a couple drinks, and celebrate the Brewers being 3.5 games behind the Cubs on a 7 out of 10 win streak here. You 5-5 piece of shit. No,
Yeah, you gained a little ground on us. We split the 2 games we did play. One of them was a rain out, thunderstormy night here in Chicago, and now we got a 5-game set, I believe, sometime in August.
Yeah,
But,
August, 5 games. That's going to be rough.
Yeah. So, are you feeling more confident? I mean, just because you were able to pull that one. I mean, you almost blew that one game to us, and I don't know if maybe the Cubs would have. I don't know. Let's talk about that 8-7 Cubs loss and the one the Brewers won, because it felt like
it bothers you a little bit.
it does, because it felt like the game got away from us super early, and that Council did nothing to stop it. Like, nobody was going to stop the bleeding on the Cubs. And then you were able to come back and almost do something. And if you wouldn't have let the game get away from you in the first place and like stop the bleeding at some point, you could have come back and won that game.
Well, even before those decisions were not made, Danny, you had the decision to pitch Tyone instead of Horton. That was Horton's game to pitch, but because the game the day before got rained out, they decided to go with Tyone, and he was not prepared. He was not ready.
I mean, heck, like, I think both pitchers weren't pitching that great. Like, Freddie Peralta, for how good he is normally, he was not even pitching that great because both of them were ready for the game that got rained out. And then when you move them to the next day, both of them aren't doing that great. I think that, I don't know, maybe it would have been good for both teams to not have them in, but Peralta got the better end of it.
What do you think, Wheelo? You think Peralta wasn't super ready for the rain out game and then start the next day?
I mean, he's our team leader. Freddie's going to be Freddie. He gives up his home runs. That's just what he's going to do and go out there. The other option was going with Mizorowski, who's that rookie, and that would have been his second start against the Cubs. So I think they didn't want to put that kid out there against a division rival, big spot like that. So they moved him on a little bit. End of the day, Freddie did what he had to do, but Brewers got the win, like you said. I don't know. Just Tyone, you guys called it. I think I was on this podcast, and you're like, he's probably going to give up 3 home runs, but they're going to win that game. So,
Well, he gave up 2, but he did give up 5. It was probably one of his worst outings of the year, and he only lasted 4 innings, which is really brutal. I mean, Chris Flexen pretty much saved us in that game, even though we lost it because he pitched 3 innings. And I'm like, you're going into a hot-ass weekend with the freaking Mariners coming to town. You have no days off, really, till when's the next day off? It's next month. It's a week from today. Mm-hmm. So no days off at all for the Cubs. And so, Flexen kind of saved us going into the weekend. Didn't really help us out anyway. But
I mean, speaking of, though, like, that was another thing where what we put in, like, I feel like we put in like 2 or 3 different guys before we put in Flexen, which is what got the Brewers up to 8 before Flexen came in.
Exactly.
If we put in Flexen a couple innings earlier, maybe we win 6-7 rather than losing 7-8. Like,
yeah. And Wheelo, I got to ask you, who the hell is Isaac Collins? and why? Like, he was like drafted 280th overall, and he's swinging the bat like he's freaking, I don't know, Cecil Cooper. I'm like pulling out. I was like trying to think of a famous Brewer. That's what I came up with. Because
you came up with a Cecil Cooper.
Well, you don't have a lot of guys to choose from. Like, who do you want?
I mean, we got, this is just what the Brewers are, man. Isaac and Caleb Durbins and the Sal Frelics of the world. I don't know, man. We get these guys, they get streaky, they get cold. It's, just reloading. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to ask, was he actually just good against the Cubs, or is he actually good against other teams? Some of these guys are just Cubs killers.
That should tell you everything I have to say about it. I mean, that's I wish I had more to say about him, but I really don't.
Yeah, well, nobody should. Instead, we're talking about this freaking jerk because he comes into town swinging the lumber and ruining my freaking life. That's what I'm saying. Like, who the hell is this guy? He's they just like probably checking Polaroids. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's cheating. There's some cheating going on. There's no way this guy
for
4 on the year. I mean, there's nobody. I mean, what do you?
He said nobody. What do you say, Eli? I couldn't hear you.
Oh, sorry. I was saying that, like, I feel like if it wasn't for Christian Yelich still being on the team, we wouldn't know anyone in that lineup.
Oh, how dare you! No, like a platinum glover, and Bryce Terang on this team. We got. Nobody knows who that guy is. Back-to-back All-Star and William Contreras on this team. What are we talking about?
Oh, yes, Contreras. We'll give you that.
We do know Contreras, but that's just because of his brother.
We wouldn't know anybody on your team. Well, guess what, buddy? We finished in first ahead of you a couple years in a row, just telling you. And you got our manager because we're a bunch of nobodies.
Woodruff isn't pitching and Burns is on his 3rd team.
Yeah, we knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
No, go to another team and blow out that UCL. And that's exactly what happened because we're smart. We're smart.
We understand that the Brewers know what they're doing, but this is Moneyball now. Like, the Cubs, they're spending just enough to beat you guys, and your big crew of no names boating into Chicago with your Isaac. I'm not even going to think about their names. I'm going to, Isaac Durbin and your Caleb Brown or whoever the hell you got. I don't know. There's a bunch of nobodies.
Hey, we got a young kid that hat glove went into the Hall of Fame because he's the first rookie ever to pitch 11 straight scoreless innings. Jacob Mizorowski, future ace of the Milwaukee Brewers, future dominant killer destroyer of your Cubbies, baby.
Well, obviously you're afraid
of the Houston Astros or someone like that.
Yeah, exactly. He's a future ace of the Astros, not you guys. He'll pitch in the NLDS and that's it. Maybe a wild card series. That's what I'm saying to you, Wheelo.
Okay. Well.
Anyway, where the hell are you? You're walking around. You're on a ferry. There's Johnny. Johnny looks like he's ready to get on a ferry. You look like you're about to work at a garage.
Yeah, we're up here at East 90th, right by Gracie Mansion.
Oh yeah, I've been there.
The mayor, and we're gonna take a different ferry. This one's going north.
Yeah, we're gonna go south. Not Wrigley South, because I would just own that shit, because that's what the Brewers do, baby.
Where are you going? Like,
where are you going?
We're about to go get some beers on a boat. That's what we're doing. It's like 102 degrees here. We want to get out of the water. So pay $2.60 and you can feel like you're, a rich Wall Street guy, I guess.
Oh, okay. No, I love that idea, actually. That's amazing. Like, yeah, you don't have to actually go anywhere. You just get on the ferry, have some beers.
They're telling me those things like, there's nobody on it. There's drinks, and then you see another wrap going by you filled with 60 tourists that paid $80 to go see the Empire or the Statue of Liberty. So I don't know. I got affordable friends that are smart.
I love. I
a
honestly,
great
I love that idea, Wheelo. That, and I wish I was out there on the water with you because it's hot as hell here, and I could use a drink and some
We'll
water.
dump one out to you guys, and we'll dump one out to the split, and we can't wait to see you in August. So
It's
go
going to
Brewers.
be great.
Are we-
And,
Dude, we're not playing again
just a
till
matter of
August.
time. You'll be looking up again. I just want you to know that. Feel it. Enjoy this while it lasts. Because we know after that All-Star break, the Brewers go on a tear. It's what we do. Death taxes. Brewers going on a tear in August. All right.
Well, I will tell you, it is a competitive
We
Central.
love the Twins. What'd you do this weekend? You got owned by Cal Raleigh. That's what happened.
Yeah, no, we should never pitch to Cal Raleigh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody should really. If you want to win a baseball game, it's nearly impossible to win if you pitch that man. But I'll let you guys go. It looks like you're just about to board. Is that?
We are. Congrats on bringing Sammy back.
Oh yeah, no, he's probably going to end up playing at some point this year. I'm guessing he's back on the juice, baby.
Get him out the juice. All right.
He still hits better than our entire bench, so it's fine.
Bye.
Take it easy. Yeah. Well, that was fun seeing the guys out on the water.
Both of them, yeah. And I will say this about the ferries in New York is that if you get on the Staten Island ferry, I believe they have regular like deli priced beers on the ferry that you can buy, and it's like $1. And you go right by the Statue of Liberty. So it's just like he said. I would bring tourists there all the time, and they're like, "Hey, we're thinking of getting a boat tour to Statue of Liberty." I'm like, "Don't bother. We're just gonna go to Staten Island, turn around and come back, and we're gonna drink beers on the ferry." And they're like, "This is great." And they're like, "It costs $1. Nothing costs $1 in New York except for the freaking Staten Island ferry."
Right.
So,
No, that's honestly, as soon as they told me what they're doing, it just sounded like a great way to spend some time. I would totally do that.
So, all right. Well, that Brewers, that was frustrating. You know, that game specifically was frustrating because it's like Tyone was just giving up the gopher ball, and who pitched in game one? Who was that? I look it up
Was
right
it
now.
Ben Brown?
Was it that long ago? It all got messed up with the rain delay.
Well, yeah,
It was
it's so
Brown.
funny.
It was
It's
five
so
finger
funny,
Brown.
Danny. As soon as you asked, the first thing in my head was, it was obviously Colin Ray, because Colin Ray just always pitches. Like
Yeah.
it just seems like he's always out there. But
It really does seem like right now that we literally have like 3 or 4 starters, and then the other guys are just kind of like, I guess they're there. Maybe, maybe it
Well,
was Boyd. I mean,
it's all gonna change now,
Matthew
'cause-
Boyd was there at some point, maybe.
Well, they don't take a lot of innings too. Like with the Cubs, the bullpen is taking far more innings than I think any one of us would like. And Tyone, when he goes 4, like he's your dude that can go 7. And so like now freaking Chris Flexen's got to come through. And I think there's going to be a lot of personnel changes coming up. When Imanaga comes back, they're going to make some decisions on like that Genesis Cabrera guy, and Pearson was up sucking. And like, I don't know, it's hard to tell because it was so hot. The wind was going out 30 miles per hour. The flags are striped out, the flags that they put up, because they didn't even put up half the flags because they were afraid they were going to blow away into the lake.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of insane. It's almost like the extreme temperature, like the cold, where you're like, I can't really judge a guy that well because the extremes of the weather are so bad that nobody's playing their best.
right, you can't judge your pitching that well.
Yeah.
Because any little minor mistake is going to get launched. But what you can judge is your offense. And I talked about it on the Cubs pod this morning. Like,
Cabrera was DFA'd. I didn't even know. There we go.
really? Already? Wow.
I was busy all day, so I didn't even look at the transactions before we got out here. But
That was a short book of
Wow.
Genesis.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
well, there it is. No, that's what I said. I'm like, they'll probably DFA a guy like Cabrera, and then I was already right,
Yeah. But
or late.
what
to
was I
me.
going to say? But no,
Right.
so the offense, like I was talking about, so
Folder.
when a visiting team comes in, right, they aren't like, they're not used to Wrigley. Yes, they understand that they can hit the ball out too, but they're on the road and they're just like trying to put together hits. And if some of those go, unless you're Cal Raleigh, and then you just hit the ball as far as you can every single time. Yeah. But they're just trying to get hits. And on days like that, those hits go out. But then you look at the Cubs, and they're like, we know what this day is. It's the day that we all hit home runs. And they seemed like they were just swinging
Popping it up.
They were going at it too hard, and I think we see this a lot with the Cubs. They go after those home runs a little too hard, and the other pitcher can just use that aggression against them.
See, I don't understand why they didn't just go for whatever they did in Detroit, because they took one of the hardest ballparks to hit home runs in, hit 5 in one game, and then they show up and they couldn't do that in any of these games, even though this game was basically playing at a little league park since the wind was blowing out so hard.
It was, I mean, if you think about that one PCA game where he kept fouling out, popping up the ball and fouled it out. Like, that's such the rookie mistake of just like, oh, today I'm hitting 4 today. I'm going to break some records today. I'm going to hit 4 home runs, steal 4 bases somehow in a 26-22 final score. Crazy game here at Wrigley Field. And that's like the thing you dream about, that could happen. But then you swing for the fences and you end up popping it up.
I think you talked with Lyle about this when guys go to Fenway and they see the green monster.
The green monster,
They're just going for it at all times. And it's like when the wind is blowing out at Wrigley, I think people get that way too. But if you're a disciplined team and you're not trying to hit every ball out, you just take your hits like the Cubs can do. And like we've seen this year, a lot of times, take the hits that you're given, and then some of those go out because they have boppers on their teams. The Cubs have more guys in the double digits in home runs than I think any team in the league. But on a day like that, it felt like it was in their heads.
And they hit some. There's nobody was on base too. That's the other problem. It's like they scored runs. They scored 20 runs in the series. It's really the pitching. The Mariners scored 30.
And that's the thing as well, is that you scored 20 runs against an actually really good pitching Mariners team. I'm pretty sure they were ranked as the best rotation in the majors, and you put 20 runs on them. If you just have a not terrible, even if you had a bad pitching performance, but not a terrible one, you could have still done it. Honestly, you probably could have won the series or even swept the series if we just always walked Cal Raleigh.
Yeah. Oh, time we did it to Harper.
Yeah, he hit 4 home runs in this series.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. And after the first one, well, especially with the way the wind was blowing out, I mean, maybe you give him one opportunity, but then you just walk him the rest of the time. There's no point to it. And it's so hot. Don't make your guy throw those 4 balls off of the plate. You know what I mean? Just go ahead.
They weren't anyway. He just threw him meatballs and he freaking crushed them. And now 13% of his 31 home runs are against the Cubs.
Oh my God.
13.
I believe he went into the series on pace with Aaron Judge's 62, and now he's on pace for 66, 67 or something.
Man, oh man.
From a catcher.
Yeah.
That is insane. I was listening to the Mariners broadcast, and they were all over this on Friday. So excited because the first home run he tied the catchers before the All-Star break.
Yeah,
one of those.
A lot of caveats. Yeah.
Right, but
it's still impressive.
It was Johnny Bench and Pudge Rodriguez, so it's not like it was nobody's that he was catching, and then he went past them in that game. They were pretty excited about it.
Yeah, now he's the only other Mariner who's hit this many home runs this quickly is Ken Griffey Jr. and he's done it 6 times. But yeah, so now it's just him and Ken Griffey Jr. So the Mariners broadcast was talking all about that.
I want to mention, because I forgot to mention earlier, that hashtag chants in the chat is a thing. Little Yumpers here saying it. Cub Druggist is saying it. Seth Kennedy and Captain Charisma, who's the exact same guy, is saying it. Josh D is saying it. Steve Scher, I think he's back in AZ. I saw him this weekend. Alex is here saying it. Joey's here. So thanks for being here. Joey was at the show, actually, at the Bleacher Bunch show. And on Friday, he was over at the South Bend Cubs game with Levante from Lost Boys. So everybody's hanging out all weekend. I know. I love when that stuff happens because it's just the community grows and then everybody meets each other, outside of even a Ranter event, that there's something else that goes around. People start hanging out. It's so cool. Like, just makes us a stronger group. So anyway, hashtag chance.
Speaking of that, Eli, what day are we going?
Yeah, not tomorrow, but next Tuesday on July 1st, we're actually going out to the Iowa Cubs game. I know it's wild. It's been 5 years. We're finally going to Des Moines and going to an Iowa Cubs game.
I've never been to an Iowa Cubs game in my life. I've lived in this state because it's like I've got a choice. Do I go left or do I go right? And if I go right, it's 3.5 hours to Chicago. If I go left, it was 3.5 hours to Des Moines, and that's an easy choice.
Rather go see the Cubs,
yeah. But we're going to finally go. So if anybody is out and about in the Des Moines area and want to come and hang out with us and say hi, they're having a killer special that day. It's like $45 for 2 tickets. You get 2 beers, 2 dogs, and 2 popcorns, maybe? I don't know, something like that. But that's $45 out the door. That's not like $45 before your fees. That's $45 for 2 tickets, 2 beers, and 2 dogs. Like, it's a great deal.
Yeah, no, I will say, I was almost like, when we were talking about like trying to get a thing, I was like, okay, we need to look if we can see to go to one like last week when Imanaga was still down there, but unfortunately they were on the road the whole time. But I feel like we would have already gone to one if we were able to get out there to see an Imanaga start.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see Imanaga. We're going to send him out there in 97 degrees in the St. Louis sun.
Well, he was just in Nashville, so maybe he's acclimated.
And also, I feel like it's Imanaga. He's going to go out there in 97 degree heat. He's going to like pitch like 20 pitches, get out of there, and he's going to be like laughing and like doing little jumps off the mound and stuff. Like
he'll bring out his own sprinkler and run through it. So why don't we take a quick break, because this game's it's going to start in about 30 minutes. Is that right? Yeah, it's 6:45 right tonight.
Yeah.
Yes, weird 6:45 starts this week because they're in St. Louis. We do have a Sun Ranto silhouette. Who's that, Cubby? There you go.
Oh, I know who that is.
Danny knows right away.
I do.
Who that is.
I know exactly who it is.
A somewhat easy one, and I chose this because did you know he played one season with the Mariners?
Yes, I did know that, because he is one of my favorite Cubs of all time, this guy.
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew that I love this guy so much.
Cool.
Did you? I mean, I don't really talk about...
I didn't know that, but who didn't? I mean, we all loved this whole team back in the day.
But this guy, I used to pretend to be him because I was always trying to get a walk.
Yeah.
Well, I'm giving a lot of hints to the podcast listeners. He used to wiggle around a lot up at the plate.
He also lost his helmet every time he ran the bases, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
And like he would take a walk, and he'd have to get off of first and go back and get his helmet because as he walked, his helmet came off.
Yeah, he'd lose his helmet on an intentional walk. It was incredible. The man was a legend. Okay. We're gonna play a commercial, and then we're gonna come back. And but who's that, Cubby? Put it in the chat. Who you think it is? Hashtag chance in the chat as well. And we'll be back in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail, otherwise known as 2 minutes and 36 seconds. So, all right, we'll be right back.
The Bleacher Bunch brings you great shows like Sun Ranto, Cubs PS Plus, Bricks Behind the Ivy, Cup of Cubby Blue, and Baseball Rabbit Hole. But you could be getting so much more when you subscribe to our Patreon page for as little as $1 a month at patreon.com/bleacherbunch. Get access to our exclusive daily show Cubs Pod, where we recap every single game. Plus, be the first to hear Cubs music, get early access to events, and receive an invitation to join our Discord Cubs community, where fans just like you show up every day to rant and rave about our beloved boys in blue. Most importantly, 10% of your Patreon pledge will go directly to help the Lost Boys Youth Baseball program. So join us. There are perks at every level, like the Renter Calendar, absolutely free, and name recognition for you or your business. We are independent Cubs podcasters, and we need your support. Otherwise, we'll quit. Seriously, we'll all quit. Some of us might even die from your lack of support. In fact, the cutest little puppy you've ever seen will die if you don't support the Bleacher Bunch at patreon.com/bleacherbunch. We promise to spend all the Patreon money on tickets and beer and all the dog crap we have to buy just to keep our podcast rolling. So give us your money, and we'll waste it far better than you will. Patreon.com/bleacherbunch. Free trials are available. The Bleacher Bunch brings you great shows like Sun Ranto, Cubs PS Plus, Bricks Behind the Ivy, Cup of Cubby Blue, and
If you like the Cubs a bunch, buy your t-shirts from In the Clutch. We've got all the best styles for you. Dansby, Saya, Morel too. Clark Fly in his double U. Cody Bellinger smoking dudes. Vintage shirts from days of old. Patrick Wisdom and Nico. You'll look sharp wearing your stro. 10% off with the code SONRANTO. SONRANTO. InTheClutch.com is your store for the most fun baseball shirts on the planet. Don't forget to use promo code SUNRANTO to knock a couple bucks off your purchase. Stack or die, we need more cups. Get it all at In The Clutch. Cause if you like the Cubs a bunch, buy t-shirts from In The Clutch. Get it all at In The Clutch. Get it all at In The Clutch.
This is Fergie Jenkins. You're listening to Sean Rando, the 69th Beth Cup podcast.
Welcome back to Sean Rando. Well, who's that cubby? Hello? Oh, no, Michael, I think you're muted somehow. Got no audio from you. We're having technical difficulties, I think. We had this. This is why we started late, too, today, because it was Gary Matthews. Michael, we can't hear you. Maybe go out and come back in or something like that. I don't know what he's got to do. I'll handle it from here. Let me just get rid of this Gary Matthews, though. It was Gary Matthews, and I did pretend to be Gary Matthews as a kid growing up because I was like, well, if I could take a walk, that's valuable, and then I don't have to run all that fast down to first base. It's kind of how I did it. So let's see if I think he's going to try to come in a second. There we go. You're back.
We're back.
I think we got hit by some stray devil bird magic. Our bad.
So I do want to mention that we do have some correct answers in the chat for Gary Matthews. Bernie Barron, who I saw this weekend at the Bleacher Bum Band show. Incorrect was Andy Wells, Sean Dunston. I saw him just last week. And
Terry
Shawan
E
Dunston.
had the correct one, too. Yeah. Terry
That's Sarge,
says,
yeah.
Okay, Sarge. Too many hints.
Yeah, it was the Sarge. I loved Gary Matthews. And I told Gary Matthews at a party one time how much I emulated him and that I looked up to him as a little kid. And it made him cry. But he was like 3 whiskeys in, so I think anything would have made him cry at that point. You know what I mean? So...
Yeah, but he was just sitting there, and he's just like, every time I know that I made a fat, chubby kid happy back in the 80s, it makes me cry every time.
Yeah, but is it out of happiness or sadness? I'm not sure.
Your sadness. Oh, great. It's like, of course, you're the one that I inspired.
Yeah.
Are you playing baseball, kid?
Yeah. It was funny. I have an old baseball bat. Maybe I can go grab it. It's right over here. And I got it from Wrigley Field. They had bat day, and they used to give away full-on wooden baseball bats so you could actually, like, for kids, they were full size for a child. They were child-sized baseball bats.
Yeah, like a 30.
13 and under and stuff like that. This one was sponsored by Burger King. And we used this bat. Like, we had a couple of crack bats that we used in the street, all wooden bats. We never had a metal bat. And we had this wooden Burger King bat, and we used it all the time. And it was in my mom's garage. And so when she moved out of her house back in 2021 or something like that, I grabbed it and I kept it. I was like, oh, she still got the Burger King bat somehow. You know what I mean? So Anyway, I said, "Oh, I should give this to my nephew. He's a baby now, and he could learn to hit with the Burger King bat too." And my sister made the point, "Is like none of us learned to hit though with the Burger King bat. Like maybe we should move on from this bat because we're all terrible."
Right.
I feel like the Burger King bat is simultaneously like the worst bat to strike out with because you know the pitcher's going to make fun of you for it, but also simultaneously the best bat to get a hit with because when you get a hit with it, it's like I feel like that is it's full on like Daniel Vogelbach type energy.
I don't know that I used it in an actual little league sanctioned game. But we certainly use it in the street quite a bit. We played all sorts of games. We made up like 2-on-2 baseball and stuff. Should I go get the Burger King bat?
Yeah,
I know where it is. All right,
jump out there and get it. So, before we get out of here, before we get away completely from this Mariners series, Eli, what was your takeaway? One takeaway from this?
My takeaway was that maybe our pitchers are a little prone to the home run ball, given that how many home runs did Donovan Solano hit?
Donovan Solano hit
like 3.
He hit 2.
Oh, and
Mitch Garver hit 2, and Canzone, he hit 2. All 3 of those guys had 1 home run coming into Wrigley this year.
And it's to be fair, the Mariners ballpark is really hard to hit home runs in. So that's kind of not crazy that they'd have more away than home. But and Mitch Garver I know has had some power, but I feel like Solano and Canzone are both defense first infielders that do not hit home. It's like if you gave up 2 home runs to Nick Madrigal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I actually made note of this about Donovan Solano specifically, is that he raised his average considerably against the Cubs, and I guess he was hurt coming into the season. So he doesn't have a lot of at bats. So, he moves things quickly, but he raised his OPS nearly 100 points at Wrigley Field, he raised his batting average almost 50 points. So,
yeah, I mean, just in that last week, he went from having a slugging below his OBP to now having his slugging be above it and he changed it by 30 points just by hitting 2 home runs against the Cubs.
And it's partly because of small sample size, but it's also because he had a hell of a weekend. Here's the Burger King bat. So if you can see, let me see if I can get a little more light on it. There we go.
Oh yeah, I see a little Cubs logo out there by the end.
Cubs logo, Burger King logo, Louisville Slugger logo.
Nice. That's.
I feel like I don't think it have a size on it.
Wait, is the Cubs logo in the sweet spot, or is the Burger King burger in the sweet spot?
I feel like the Burger King is in the sweet spot, which is weird because normally they put the logo, they would put the Louisville Slugger in the sweet spot. But
well, let me tell you, this bat does not have a sweet spot, so don't worry about that. We took care of that, but it's in surprisingly decent shape for a bat that was dropped in the middle of the street in front of my house growing up.
And it's got to be 35, 40 years old.
Oh yeah.
This is easily a 40-year-old bat. So anyway, I'm going to give it to my nephew, and he can learn how to be an actor too.
Yeah.
Because that's what people who use that bat end up doing. So, all right, let's get into the Cardinals. Oh, I hate the Cardinals even more than the Brewers, and I can't believe we haven't played them yet. But look at this NL Central. Look at it. 4.5 games back. I mean, if the Cardinals sweep us right now, they're a half game out, or they're a half game out from us, and the Brewers might even be ahead of us if they keep playing well. So we got to at least figure something out in this freaking heat wave down in St. Louis. But even the Reds are 2 above 500 and only 6.5 out. So even if they got on a run, they could start getting competitive, get back in there, So, and the Pirates are the only team that's bad, 392 percentage.
Yeah, and I think right now the Cubs are on a run. I mean, they project out right now if they were to keep it up like this. What is it? That's like a 97 win team or something like that. And the Brewers are at 90, 91, same with the Cardinals. And the Reds would be in the high 80s. All of these teams if they keep this up, would be doing very well, and a lot of them would make the postseason tournament.
I think another reason, though, that all of them are above it is because, I mean, look at this. We're just now starting to play the Cardinals. We played 2 games against the Brewers. We've had, like, what? I think the Reds and the Pirates we've played.
No, we've had 2 series against the Brewers.
Oh, 2 series against Brewers.
Yeah,
right.
5 games total.
But still, it's like we're barely playing our own division. So, of course, a lot of them are going to be going up there. Like, we haven't played the Cardinals yet. And
so, Danny, what do you think about that? I mean, we are just coming into the Cardinals, and do you like this version? And people in the chat, you want to chime in on this too. Do you like the version of baseball in which we play every team, right? But we play our division less, or when we didn't play every team and we played our division a lot? Like, what did you like better?
I'd rather play the division a lot, although it does get a little egregious. Like sometimes you're like, oh my God, we've seen this pitcher, 43 times this year. It does add up a little bit. I mean, the nice thing about playing the local teams is that you can go to the games. So that you've taken away a series where Cub fans can go up to Milwaukee and Brewers fans can come down, and it's only an hour away. So you've taken that away. You've taken away a 5-hour drive to St. Louis or Cincinnati where Cub fans can go. You've taken away, so that's what bothers me about that. Even Pittsburgh, 7 hours away, you could drive there in a day, and you've taken away a series where you could do that. So that's the sad part to me. And also, like, the division games now matter more because it's the only time you can make up ground. The problem is, like, I hate the crap where you're not facing the division at the end of the year when you're both in it. And that because it's great when you're, like, tied going into the end of the year and, whoever, if you can take 2 or 3, you win the division or you get one game, like, all that stuff. But it's exciting.
It's more, it's sort of more important, right? It sort of means more because we have less games, but we have so many games against other teams that you can win the division without really beating up on your division. Like, you could totally skate by on your division, just beat everybody else and make it. Clint Nathan says, I hate our division, so I'd like to see more of the league. But Terry E says divisional play means less and less, and he hates it, which is kind of the opposite of what you were saying, Danny. But both, I think, are true in different situations.
Games matter more in winning the division, but the divisions matter less because you can just make the stupid wild card.
Yeah,
if you just play well and beat all the teams.
True.
But some divisions you're going to have to win that division if you want to make the playoffs at all.
Yeah,
so.
It's also like a thing where because we're playing our division less, it's like, yeah, the Pirates are bad, but playing division less, it's actually a pretty big difference if you only get to play the Pirates a couple times and maybe one team runs up against Paul Skeens 3 times and another team only has to play him once. Suddenly, like, that's a pretty big difference when you don't play the division too much between those division teams because, yeah, the Pirates are in the bottom, but if Paul Skeens is on the mound or if one of their other guys, if they call up
Keller,
like other pitcher prospects because they have like 6 pitcher prospects and no one else. But like if you just get on the bad end of one of the Pirates pitchers, then you can just lose a game there and drop big when another team just never really has to play that pitcher. Because like you said, when they were playing their own division all the time, they would, you'd say that one pitcher like 4, 5, 6, 7 times. Now you're only seeing them once or twice, if at all, and like you might miss some of those pitchers.
It almost takes away the rivalry feel a little more because we don't get to know these teams as much. Josh D says, with how the playoffs are now, I don't mind as much, but I still prefer more division games. Dominic Galoro, wait until expansion comes. There will be 4 divisions of 4 teams each.
Could be. And
put the
to
Brewers back in the AL.
Good. So long. But to Eli's point, for example, we're missing Michaelis and Gray ostensibly. I'm not sure that that's going to happen, but it seems like we're going to miss Michaelis and Gray. They're the Cardinals' 2 best pitchers in this series. And as far as like the matchups, that a lot of it's Tittles, Barron, Dingelhofer.
I was going to say, how are we missing 2 pitchers when we're playing 4 games.
Because they're doing weird stuff. Because I don't know. This is a blame Bleacher Nation. It's not my fault. They're the ones that said all this stuff.
And I mean, speaking of, like, we're lucky Imanaka is coming back during this series, but no, you know who never had to face Steele? The Cardinals never had to face Steele because Steele was already hurt by the time we got to him.
Yeah, and usually you face them like once in the spring, once in the summer, once in the fall. And so that's off. But, I mean, I can kind of see it both ways. It's kind of nice to be able to see every single team one time because, back in the day, you wouldn't even know the AL guys, because you could only see the games that, the White Sox weren't really broadcast. I didn't watch them anyway. And then you'd watch the Cubs games, so I'd only know the National League teams. And then, like, we'd play it, and you'd know the stars of the AL because they were stars, but you wouldn't know all the little guys except for looking at their baseball cards or looking at who's doing baseball or something like that.
Yeah.
That was the whole point of the All-Star game.
Yeah. And then also, I mean, it also takes away from a lot of those interleague games because, like, the Crosstown series, that's always a big deal because it's Cubs White Sox. But I remember hearing about, like, in the 70s or whatever, back when interleague play was really new, like, the Cubs versus the Red Sox was, like, the biggest deal ever because obviously neither of those teams had been playing in the World Series. They're both in their curses.
You meant the 90s.
Oh, 90s?
Not the 70s.
Was it not even 70s? I don't know.
It's all the same to me at this point.
All the way. Like, but when those two teams would play each other, that was like a huge deal. They're both really, long names of baseball, all these different things, but they never played each other. So whenever they did, it was a huge deal. Now it's like we play the Red Sox, and it's like, oh, yeah, we play the Red Sox, and we go play the Orioles and Yankees. Big deal.
Yeah, it used to raise the meter like 10 points, and now it's like a 1 or 2 point.
Well, do you know what it raises the meter for is that now when the Red Sox come in July in the middle of the summer, it raises the meter on the price of those hotel rooms at Gallagher Way for the Ricketts because this is the Cubs are a tourist team. So I don't think it benefits a lot of teams. I think it benefits the Cubs probably more than others because a lot of out of town fans are going to put the Wrigley Field on their bucket list. I mean, I met some people who are doing all 30 ballparks. This father and his 2 sons were at the game. They're sitting by us the other day, and they're doing all 30 ballparks. They're at Wrigley this time. I don't know if they're Cub fans or what, but anyway, they're Chicago is always going to be a place that people are going to want to visit, even if there's not a game. There's people there, so it's.
It's not like it's not even taking the other side of Chicago. It's not like the White Sox where if you go and look around, if you set your tickets on the window of your car, you will come back and there's extra tickets there.
Well, and they were going to go to the White Sox game too, I think tonight. But if you think about the Brewers or something like that, or are that many people clamoring to go see that ballpark? And are they getting big tourism coming from New York if the Mets or the Yankees go there? Like probably not that much. Yeah. But Wrigley, yeah, because it's good. Busch Stadium where the Cubs are tonight, probably not either. Like who wants to go to the Lou?
It's middle tier. It's not like I feel like Busch Stadium is one of those. It's not on people's top of the list, but people weren't like avoiding it. It's not like old Tropicana or something like that where like I would rather go see a game anywhere else. I'd rather go see a AAA team. Like at least Busch Stadium's like it's not a bad looking ballpark, but like it's no Wrigley and. It's not like Coors Field or PNC where those parks are so beautiful you can go and watch a dumpster fire team every day and you'll be fine with it.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about these Cardinals because they're kind of surprisingly better than we were hoping at the beginning of the year. They're 40.
As they always seem to be. They're always
except
better
for last year. We
than
thought it was over.
hoping.
We thought the devil magic was spent. It was all in the Brewers' pocket now, but it's not. Well, it's in both of their pockets. They're splitting it this year. So 42 and 36 they are. And they gained a game on the Cubs after going 6-4. Well, we went 5-5 in the last 10. I mentioned they're 4.5 back, but they're still behind the Brewers. And they had a 19-8 May. They had a really good May too. So did we. They now have a 9-11 June so far, including a 6-game losing streak, where they lost 2 or 3 to the Brewers, and then but recently they lost 2 or 3 to the Brewers and then swept the White Sox, and then they took 2 or 3 from Cincy at home this weekend. They are 24-15 at home, so much better at home. And it's June 23rd, which means it's the day of the Ryan Sandberg game, and we're playing the Cardinals again. So that's kind of cool, except for this time it's in Busch Stadium. And
there's no way we can go to the 10th or the 11th with anybody hitting home runs in both of those innings. It just can't happen anymore.
Nope.
Because Rob Manfred fixed baseball.
But did you ever hear the story about when Harry Carey, because he used to be the Cardinals broadcaster before he was the White Sox and then the Cubs broadcaster, but it was so hot at Busch Stadium that he called the game in his underwear? Did you ever hear about that?
Oh, yes. I think I've seen pictures of him. Yes, there it is.
He's probably the best dressed dude there.
Right.
He definitely had more teeth than most of the stadium, that's for sure, but especially back then before fluoride. So offensively, I don't know how they're winning games. I was texting we've never actually had him on the show. This guy, Ben Johnson. You never met him, right? Did we ever have this guy on the show? He's a Cardinals fan, and he's a comedian, and he's very funny. He's got a great
and he was he was kicked out of the 1984 Olympics for doing steroids.
For doping.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Canadian guy? No. This guy, he's a comedian, different Ben Johnson. And not the playwright either from Shakespeare's time. Not that guy either. But this dude, I've been trying to get him on the show, and it never works out. But every time we text back and forth, he tells me a lot about the Cardinals. And the one thing that I took away, he's upset about some of the injuries, I guess, that he thinks they'd be better with them. But sorry, I'm losing my train of thought because I just got a text. But no, he's upset about that. But he also said they come back and win a lot late in the game. And I'm like, well, of course they do, because it's the freaking Cardinals. And so look for that to happen. They've got that year going.
The Cubs have done a lot of that this year as well. Come back, they don't hit the starter very well. And I mean, Eli, I think you might have mentioned this on the Cubs pod, but they don't do well in the first couple innings.
Oh yeah, no, besides like that one game with the Mariners where they hit three runs in the first, like I swear the amount of 1, 2, 3 first innings for the Cubs is like, it's like every game or every other game. It's 1, 2, 3 for the first inning. Like it's, you see the bottom of the order come up so much and do so much good stuff, but it's like, it's because the top of the order keeps striking out or popping out or whatever. I don't know why.
Well, I mean, maybe they should do some of that opener stuff, but that's tricky because then you're like blowing your bullpen arm in the first, and then you don't know how the guy's going to do. And, maybe he gets you the 7th. I don't know. It seems like shuffling the deck chairs a little bit when you do that stuff.
I mean, for whatever reason, the opener did seem to work a little bit with Ray. I don't know what it was with Ray, but like the one time they used an opener on him, he seemed to do really well. And every other time, seems like his first inning, he gets hit up and then he does a little better. So I don't know. Maybe he would be the guy for it.
Yeah, but then you get the Cubs offense, and Ian Happ goes up there and he hits the first pitch he sees a lot.
Sometimes it's for a home run. Other times it's for nothing.
I don't know what's going to happen with this Ray Boyd situation, but they were all supposed to be back end guys. Boyd, everybody, that's an expert, was guessing about 100 to 130 innings on the year. He's already over 80 something. We're halfway through the year, so maybe he gives us more out of the tank. I kind of had this idea when I was walking around today that you should have like a first half team and a second half team or something like that. Like you could just stash guys and be like, just stay in Arizona, do not pitch. We're gonna have these guys in the bullpen in the first half. We're just gonna you're going to watch all these games. You're going to learn about the hitters, and you're going to face all these teams coming out knowing exactly how to face everybody. Super studied, and have a whole new bullpen for the second half of the year. Like, that would be something that you could do as a team, fire all your guys and bring on new guys.
Heck, even do it with a starter or two, especially since we see how many starters just go down with, like, Tommy John or whatever. They never really go too much, so just keep like 3 or 4 starters who are like big league ready, or at least like big league serviceable. Keep him in AAA or keep him in Arizona and be like, all right, you're here for when this guy goes down or this guy. Like, I mean, they said Ray was, not Ray, Boyd was 100 to 130. Well, when he hits that barrier, it's like, well, let's see if he breaks. If he breaks, you're up.
Yeah.
Well, you're trying to get to the playoffs. You're trying to have a deep playoff run too with these guys, and so Ray and Boyd in the playoffs, like, it's who's your game 3 starter? Everybody, you know what I mean? Like, what are we talking about here?
I think when Shota comes back, people have talked about who's going into the pen. I think it's got to be Ray at this point, right?
I don't
like
think they
into
will.
the pen.
I don't think they will. I think it'll be Ben Brown.
See, and I've heard that so many times. And outside of his age, I just don't understand why. He pitches. Now, he has good games. He has bad games. But in general, I would rather see him stay starting for the Cubs than go into the bullpen. Like, if it's between him and Ray, right? You've got to take one starter out of the rotation because you've got Shota coming back. I would put Ray into the bullpen versus Brown,
And I'd go 6-man personally. Like, I think that would be
not a terrible idea either.
That's not a bad idea either, really.
Yeah,
especially for Shota.
But I definitely think as well it should be Ray to go into the bullpen. Not necessarily because one's doing better than the other, but really just because, again, with the age and with Ben Brown being that prospect, if you put Brown into the bullpen too early, you might mess him up. Because if he starts going out of the bullpen, then suddenly he loses some of that stamina, if he's only pitching a couple innings or whatever. And then, then he has that sort of issue. And it's like Ben Brown is a lot more in the future plans of this team than Colin Ray. Colin Ray is great that he has been pitching the way he had been, but guess what? If Colin Ray falls off a cliff, big whoop, nobody cares. Yeah. If Ben Brown falls off a cliff, that's one of our better pitching prospects we've had in a while. So
let me get through some of these, just let you know where the Cardinals are this year and how they've been winning. It's kind of a mystery because all their stats are average. They've got below average power. They've got below average stolen bases, so they don't have the power. They don't have the speed to be the best in the National League, yet they are in third place. But because they've scored the 9th most runs. So they just they're figuring it out. Then they're pitching. Their bullpen is average, except for that they don't walk or strike out anyone or give up home runs. So, like, they just kind of don't do anything. They just kind of get outs. And their starters have pitched the 6th most innings, and the Cubs are way below average in that standpoint. So their starters are doing a lot, but as I said, I don't think we're seeing Michaelis. And then defensively, they have very few errors, but they have a league average defensive efficiency ratio and defensive runs saved. And they have the 5th worst caught stealing percentage. So you can run on these guys. Only 19% of runners cut down. So that's good, except it's too hot to run.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to know why they don't have anyone getting caught stealing, it's because Contreras is playing first base.
Right. It's a lot harder for
Stepping on
Contreras
guys.
to throw guys out from first.
Yeah,
Tripping dudes.
Also, their pitching staff, it sounds like their pitching staff is literally doing the opposite of everyone else. Because, this game's been moving more to 3 true outcomes and get your starters out of there early, get the bullpens in, big bullpens. No, they're just like, nope, starters are going out 6 or 7, bullpen, get outs. We do not care how you do it. Don't walk anyone. Sounds like they're a throwback team right now.
And then the lineups, or the matchups, I should say, tonight, Five Finger Brown versus Matthew Liberatore. And Brown, we talked about his game. He had that 5-3 win over Milwaukee, and he's never faced the Cardinals, so we'll see how this goes. He gave up, and then Liberatore, he gave up 2 through 5 against the White Sox, but he got blown up in his 3 starts before that, including giving up 7 against the Royals. And then tomorrow, it's Tyone versus Tittles, Baron Dinglehofer, TBD, or it could be Michael McGreevy. I don't know. They're not sure. It's a probable and not a definite. And then game 3 is going to be it's all TBD. So you got Tammy Baby Doink versus Thomas Bartholomew Detroit.
You were working so hard on this.
Yeah, but that could be Matthew Boyd versus Eric Fetty as instead of those guys. We don't know. And then in Game 4, it's Imanaga versus possibly Timothy Badlands Doomkoff or Andre Palante. We're not sure.
Terry E says if they have to skip a start with Boyd because of his shoulder, Ray might pitch on his regular day this time around.
Yeah, and I don't know. Who did they just bring up too that I mentioned? That I was like, wait, he's still on the team. That was
Pearson.
No, not Nate Pearson. Hold on.
Oh, then I don't know who you're talking about.
No, they
I
just
was shocked. I was shocked when I saw Pearson was in a game.
Yeah, I'm looking up right now. Like it's Michael Fulmer. Michael Fulmer is on the team. I didn't even know he was still around.
I didn't know he was still playing baseball.
I thought he retired.
He's back.
I thought he was on the team in like 2022.
He was a 2023 guy, I think. But yeah,
no,
wasn't he the closer before Alzolay?
Yeah, he was supposed to be. Yeah.
Oh, he was supposed to be. Yeah.
Yeah, but it didn't work out. So anyway, he's back, and I don't know, and that's probably why Genesis Cabrera's gone. So,
well,
thank you
Danny,
for
what
your
you were
service.
saying.
You can pick up your World Series ring next year.
Yeah, well, you were saying earlier about having these like two different teams, like stashing guys and bring them up later. I mean, I was going to say Jed Hoyer has already done that. I mean, he's just burned through. He is burning through his second full bullpen right now. And by the All-Star break, we are going to be on a third iteration of the bullpen, like completely.
Yeah. Maybe I'm not.
How many Cubs
dreaming.
were in the opening day bullpen and are still
Yeah,
there?
maybe I'm not dreaming big enough. Maybe we just have 4 different teams throughout the year.
Yeah.
Why not just keep picking up guys?
4 bullpens, and somehow we still haven't gotten rid of Stressley yet.
yeah, exactly. Well, that's because they're paying him. They're like, well,
This is pretty funny. Over in the we got over here. Andy Wells says Fuller. When you were trying to figure it out, Clint Nathan says filler. Clint Nathan says Fulmer. Andy Wells says filmed. And then Clint is none of our autocorrects want us to say Fulmer.
Autocorrect can't even believe he's still on the team.
Even autocorrect has forgotten.
Oh my
Fulmer.
God! Speaking of a guy who can only spell when there is autocorrect, I think it's Stradamus is coming to tell us what's happening after this.
Somebody needs to autocorrect that smell.
The chickens come home and are roosting. In the standings, we're gonna need boosting. The Cubs will feel so blue, getting swept by St. Lou, and then getting swept out in Houston.
He just gave up at the end of that, didn't he?
I think he might have died. I hope.
Like he was, I mean, first off, the Cubs are not going to get swept either one of these series. And second, what did Houston rhyme with?
Roostin and
I think, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Putin?
I mean, you'll
Vladimir
take it.
Putin? I don't know.
We're a little bit there.
So the game's starting, so we should go. But I would just want to let everybody know that Ranterfest tickets are available. They are at sunranto.com/Ranterfest. It's going to be a day of fun-filled mayhem on August the 2nd. We've got comedy after post-game. We've got a big show and like get-together pre-game. We're going to be hanging out throughout the game. If you want to go to the game, you can go to the game. Either way, it's just all going to be hanging out. We're going to have a good time. And we're going to raise some money for Lost Boys. So, and once again, hashtag chance in the chat because we're about to give away a chance. And anything else that anybody's got? I don't know. We'll be back with a Bleacher Punch show probably Thursday night, I would guess. So I don't know what's happening there, but we'll preview that Houston series for you.
Somebody will show up
Somebody will
on
show
Thursday
up.
night. It'll be after the Cubs' 4th game because we've got 3 6:45 games and then a day game against the Cardinals, which is going to be brutal hot. So we may be doing eulogies on Bleacher Bunch this this week after everyone dies on the field down in
and
St.
let's
Louis.
do those.
We're gonna roll back the entire bullpen in a stretcher.
Well, let's do the eulogies live on Thursday night in our underwear, like Harry Carey would have. Because it's gonna be so hot. The heat's supposed to break here, and I cannot wait. So, anyway, that is the show. Except for I got a TFC. Did you have a TFC? Because I know people are starting to watch the game.
I do not. And on Bleacher Bunch, I will say there will be a new Cubsler on Bleacher Bunch Thursday. If you are a Patreon supporter, you will be able to see it today in the Cubsler, and you can get a jump on these other suckers. But there is a new Cubsler that's going to drop today. We don't really have time to do it right now, so we'll do it on Thursday.
So my TFC is kind of dark, and that, the whole situation with that USA bombed Iran, and this tweet said, breaking, a commentator on Iranian state television said that every American citizen or military personnel in the region is now considered a legitimate target. More than 40,000 U.S. active duty troops and civilians are working for the Pentagon in the Middle East, many of whom are in Iran's direct line of fire. And this was retweeted by a Cub fan who said, "There are many proud Americans right here, Iran." And it's a picture of Bush Stadium.
Oh, my God.
So I thought that was really rude,
That was, I'm sorry. That was great.
So let's hear it for Suzuki, please, Homer, on Twitter, because you are so wrong.
That is, yes.
I see one today.
Death to the great Satan. So the great Satan, that is St. Louis. Devil magic,
Oh, my
They do
gosh.
call him the great Satan.
Yeah.
I saw this one guy, it was Rick Steves, the famous guy who goes around the world, tells you what to do. Rick Steves, travel writer.
Oh, okay. Goes around the world, tells you what to do. I'm like, oh, you mean that asshole that you just can't get rid of? He just keeps showing up? Well, why don't you turn left here? I don't want to fucking turn left, Steve.
Rick Steves, he said, Rick Steves said that he went to Iran, and the guy was trying to practice his English in the cab driver, and they got stuck in a traffic jam, and he was like, "Death to traffic, death to traffic," and Rick Steves is like, "Well, you're saying death to traffic?" He's like, "Oh yes, we always say death to whatever we don't like. That's just what we say here." I'm like, and Rick Stevens is like, "So this whole death to America thing is just like not really that big of a deal. It's just like you're just saying screw traffic, or it's the same weight as that. We're just taking it wrong, and it's all a big misunderstanding."
Oh, my God. It would not surprise me one bit. All of this shit is really just a big misunderstanding because there's a certain group of people out there who want to do one thing and they want to shit in your hand and tell you it's pudding. Mm-hmm. You know it's not, but they're still going to stick with it.
Well, let's give away a chance postcard to get the hell out of here. Okay, here we go. I'm picking it. Last chance to get in the chance. Boom. Wonderful to see all these names, some of which I've seen within the last couple of weeks. It just freaking runs so nice.
Yeah, I can't wait to get back up there.
Oh, and the winner is Joey W.
The
Congratulations,
Wrigleyville
Joey.
bum.
I got to get
Nice.
some of these. I'm falling behind on my postcard sending. I'm just busy putting together my apartment because I got all these summer guests coming and stuff. But I'll get them out sometime by the winter. There'll be Christmas cards by the time I get these things out.
Oh, and by the way,
Just get AI to do it.
Just another reminder, July 1st, Tuesday night, Eli, Emily, and I are going to be at Principal Park watching the Iowa Cubs. If you happen to be around there, hit me up in the Discord. Just say hi. It'd be great to see you guys out there if you're there.
Yeah.
Cool.
Travel
Join
to
us.
Des Moines. Because
Come
why
to
not?
Des Moines. The S's are silent, but you guys certainly will not be. So, all right. like to thank all our Patreon subscribers, patreon.com/bleacherbunch, but especially Blake Beard and Rogue Wave Creative for sponsoring at your special level. We got Mike Waller and the Cubs PS Plus podcast to thank. We've got Matt Cameron and his permanent paintings and In the Clutch shirts. We've got all the Bleacher Bunch Network shows, Cup of Cubby Blue, Cubs PS Plus, Baseball Rabbit Hole, Bricks Behind the Ivy, and Cubs Pod. Please like and subscribe and do all that fun stuff. And in fact, like this live as you leave us. It helps. It helps. So
and tell your friends about the Bleacher Bunch as well. I met a guy just the other day, and I told him I noticed that he was a Cubs fan. And I just said, "Hey, I have a podcast called Bleacher Bunch. There's like 5 different podcasts." And he's like, "Well, I'm a fan, but I don't like really watch them every day." I'm like, "That's exactly who this is for.
Yeah.
We do all the watching so that you don't have to actually see some of the horrific things that we see. We'll just tell you all about it."
You do not have to see Nate Pearson or Presley pitch if you watch the Bleacher Bunch.
Yeah.
We'll tell you all about why not to watch it. So, all right.
Bricks Behind the Ivy, they're our positive show. They'll pump you up, and then we'll bring you back down, just like every baseball player out there is taking the uppers and the downers to level out their whole day.
Yeah, well, hopefully today they're taking a freaking ice cloth to the back of their necks because it is hot. So stay cool, check on your elderly neighbors, and let's get the hell out of here, huh? Watch a ball game. Spagog.
Spagog!
Spagog.